What makes problem solving such an important competence for any company, and therefore also an important skill for your career? Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel, where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today's video is about the importance of problem solving skills for an organization. So with that I mean getting any deviation, really analyzing what the problem is, finding the root causes of that problem, solving them by putting good countermeasures in place, and making sure that this problem doesn't show up again. Now, I think even when I'm saying this, you already have the innate idea that this is important for an organization. It is sort of logical, right? But the power, it is really something that many people overlook. So let's put a bit of attention on that. And for that, we'll first check the control cycle, improve and control the infinite loop. But we have a control cycle for things that we know that we can, right? So we have standards. Sometimes we want to improve standards. We get to a new one, but any existing or new standard, we want to control. We want to make sure that this standard is met, it doesn't deteriorate, and that we can keep relying on the way we do things. Now for that, we make sure that we've got skillful people in place and that new people are taught the skills correctly, that our processes are stable and that we use them in the same way every day, and just make sure that all of the parameters, they are optimal for making our product. And then we of course also check the actual performance. So are the products good? Did we make them fast enough? Did we make them cheap enough, basically, right? Did we not waste any material or any time or things like that? How did we do in the end? And any deviation on our skills management, our process settings, or our performance, that goes into, hey, this is a deviation. This is a problem that we want to solve. So problem solving comes from a deviation in our control cycle. Now that comes from things like, new people coming into the factory. They need to be built up to the same competence levels and experience as the others. They don't have all of the required skills yet. Have some training. Does this all flow completely normally? Do different people maybe interpret the skills or the training or what they need to do in different ways? Is there a difference in competence between our shifts or between departments? That is already something where we can find deviations from what we would like. But also, many things change. Machines, they deteriorate if maintenance is not done well enough. But even with good maintenance, there is a certain level of deterioration that you will allow before you repair, replace, spend money and time on that machine. So that changes a little bit. Also, the weather may change. Maybe even an improvement created some changes that lead to deviations that were not directly obvious. And you may say that, that was the task of the improvement team to see that and fix that. And yes, you're right, but it doesn't always happen. So things change. And sometimes just, something is damaged, something is off, something has changed in such a way that we have got a deviation, a real change in our process, a process shift, or we are suddenly underperforming. Now these are generally expensive things because we don't really call it a problem when it's suddenly going a lot better. We should be, keeping that in mind and paying attention to things that are suddenly going a lot better because maybe we can standardize it. But problem solving, it really is about when performance drops, when the way we do our processes drops. And why is that important? Because it is a leading indicator of that performance will afterwards drop as well. We cannot guarantee the quality. We cannot guarantee the output or our own safety. Those are things that companies need solved. So you start up a problem solving, and I put steps 2, 4, and 6 here. Those are the ones that, where you make the real change, but you define, what happened. Not only what is the effect, you also definitely define where and what is the problem doing. to our performance or to our skill management, but also specifically where it comes from, when is it happening, things like that, right? And then you find a root cause. And why is this root cause so important? You don't want to just fix the problem you saw today. You want to fix it for tomorrow and for any preventing future failure. That means that you really improve the system. Usually when you have a performance deviation, you are improving processes or skill management. So you're moving back up this ladder as well, and you're putting checks in place over there to prevent problems from happening again. Now, any operation that can prevent in a sustainable way, so that means it really keeps being checked and prevent that problem from occurring again, there is a golden road ahead of you. Because that means that you're only doing the best part of your production. It also means that you are not going after all kinds of fires of this day. You're not spending your time correcting problems, and you're not spending so much time on analyzing problems. That frees up time to improve your standards even more. So that is the thing. When you have a good way of controlling your performance, controlling your skills, processes, and performance, and making sure that your outputs are very stable, then you can build the next improvement on top of that. See, what we too often see happening in organizations is that you make a nice improvement, but then it sort of slows down again when the attention is gone, when some other things take priority. And in the end, what you will see your performance do over time is something like this. And you are improving a bit, but every time the previous improvement efforts, they lose their flow again, especially, and here it's very sort of linear. What you will generally see is that the process is improved, you start the next improvement process, it goes on, right? You keep the gains for some time and then it drops down. But it doesn't really get you a lot further. Each of these individual improvement projects is wonderful, but in the end, the company is not helped that much. Now, when we can do very good control and solve any deviations, what we will see is that each improvement builds upon the previous ones. And of course, also here, it is a little bit exaggerated, because what you will generally see is that to make that next improvement, you start sort of at a bottleneck, so you start a little bit lower, but you go up and up and up. So your improvements, they are saved, they are sustained, and if you are doing a DMAIC, or if you improve with the design, plan, implement, and sustain, you put attention to embedding your new standards into the daily operation. And this is in all of those improvement systems, you've got it in, right, to prevent this. But how do you really sustain it with a good skill, process, and performance control? And if you notice deviations, but you cannot solve those problems, you will still see it go down. And this is why, for organizations, it is very important to have people who are good at problem solving. And really, if you have great problem solving skills, you will be valuable in any organization. But now, where is the trick? This here is defining what really is the problem, what really happened, or what didn't happen. To do this in a structured way, that is a difficult skill. And that's a good thing as well, because that means that it is a very prized skill. Now, really getting to a root cause, really analyzing how does my process work, understanding and taking other people along you in that understanding of how our processes work, how basically the root cause, but the basic building blocks of the physics of our product and process, how they work and build, what is the logical chain of events and what are all the things that need to come together to make our process work and produce our product. If you can analyze how those processes work, what are the inputs and the outputs and the preconditions that need to be in place, and then you can identify where it goes wrong and put countermeasures on that based on an analysis of really how in the back end your process works, that too is a difficult skill to master. Now, not everyone can really do this, but when you can get a team together, in a team you'll almost always, do pick them correctly of course, but have at least 2 people who can really do this. And the others are there for their experience, for their knowledge, for going along with the analysis and putting their input in it as well to make sure that those, let's say, analytical and logical thinkers get the correct input, are sometimes stopped with a, no, but that's not how we do it, are often fed with a, did you know that we also saw these effects? Getting that group together, a third critical skill. Now, the number of people who can truly define a problem in a good way, who can make a root cause analysis, and who are good enough to get a group of people to go through this, but also a different group of people, that is the operation, to implement these changes and to do it in such a way that tomorrow it'll be the same and in half a year it will also be the same because it is nicely tied back into your control cycle. That is a golden person for any organization. So that's why I would strongly advise you to, if you want to do anything in quality or maintenance or production management or anything, actually in any organization. This is not just in industrial organizations, but if you're following my channel, you're probably in an industrial organization. Any of those staff departments, but also team leaders, production managers, they need to have problem-solving skills. Learn those skills and you will make yourself so much more valuable to your organization. Now, if you want to take action on improving your problem-solving skills, download my free problem-solving template. It guides you through how to use all of the tools and keep learning. I mean, there is a lot of material out there to get your problem-solving skills in the correct mindset, improve it, teach you the tricks of the trade, and then, of course, go and solve problems, because to go from just skills to a competence, you will need to practice, you will need to do it and make sure that you can show to others how you are guiding people through structured critical thinking and solve root causes to problems in the end. Now, I wish you all the best with your problem-solving efforts, and as always, don't forget to enjoy the continuous improvement journey.